944. Back with Just Chilling Radio. Hope you guys are chill. Hope you guys are positive. Because I have a tough time being chill and positive. What better way to get better than to be the example of chill and positivity, than to spread it? There's a lot of tech negativity. I feel like the negativity overpowers the positivity. Or I don't really think that. I think it's just negativity is very bold. It's like oil. It's very hard to get off. It's very shiny. It's very appealing, right? But it can make you much more slippery, easier to fall. It can make you more just harder to grasp reality, grasp things. Like I can't even speak. Negativity is just oil. That positivity is pure water, pure energy, pure life essence. Because we're made of 80% water. That's the negative. That's the positivity. Negativity can turn water dirty. It could turn it unhealthy, moldy. We're looking into that right now because there's a whole thing about water, your vibes, your emotions, your feelings. Pretty much since there's signals in your brain, electrical and all that stuff, to a certain degree, and also vibrations when you talk, the way you talk, and your mood, the mood you're in. It gets into the hertz and all that stuff. Your voice, your tone of voice, your tone of voice can affect people, can affect living things around you, the plants, the water. Water's not a living thing, but it's an essential part of life, water. It's an essential building block. We're at 10:30. We're chilling. So the way you feel, the way you think, the way you talk can positively or negatively affect your body, your mind, and the bodies and minds of living things around you, of essential things in life around you. The air. It's all about energy is real. Look at it scientifically, energy, vibes. That stuff is real. We all produce energy, heat, light, and of course sound does as well. Vibrations, guys. The vibes. I'll change it. We look into it because this one guy from Asia. It's always like the Japanese getting into like really cool science shit. But I heard with plants, if you talk to them positively, your plants that you grow, they respond to that positive vibe, that positive frequency, your positive voice, your vibration. They respond well to that and they grow bigger, quicker, more lively. And they did experiments where you yell at a plant, you curse at it or what, you're just negative towards a plant or the plants around you respond negatively. They wilt, they dry up, they just don't grow so well. They end up probably dying, I wouldn't doubt. Oh yeah, they did it with a snowflake. They did the same experiment with water, a snowflake, where where they responded to snowflakes with love. They became beautiful structures. We'll look into it. Nikola Tesla, vibrations create reality. Whoa, 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 whoa. What the skunk is that? I did not click on that. What do I want to look at? We just saw something cool. This one. So the hertz. Explain the most powerful frequencies in the universe. Who's that one guy? He's one of those dudes that got into it too.
Emoto's groundbreaking
Masaru Momoda. He is Japanese. Doctor. We'll watch this video. They probably
research provides
they probably summarize it all. So what was his name? Dr. Masaru. Water experiment. Moto. I like to think that my illness in my childhood, I like to think that it's probably because of my attitude I had, just being angry and mad all the time. And I could recall like physically what I felt when I would be so mad or so angry or just so upset. I could feel it. I'll go to my stomach. I'd get like an upset stomach. It was like my stomach would start hurting and everything. My chest, my stomach, mainly my stomach. And then growing up in my childhood, I've always had like restroom issues. I can recall having like bad diarrhea in like fifth grade or something. It was fifth grade. It was a couple years before being diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. But I remember in fifth grade, I had like crazy diarrhea. And I remember going to the doctors. They said it was like lactose intolerance. I feel like it was kind of a miss. It was a it was a false. What's that called again? What's it called? False. I don't know. He wasn't a good doctor. He either knew what I had and just chose to make me suffer for money or whatever reason, research, whatever, or he's just not good at his job and he misdiagnosed what I had. And that was in fifth grade. I remember this one time too, before this. I forgot what grade I was in. I was younger, I think. I had one instance where I just came home one day and my stomach was just hurting, like hurting. And I remember just laying down and then just like in pain, laying down, like in the living room. And my dad comes over and he's worried. He was scared. He was worried, which made me be like realize, oh, something's not right here. And he was like, oh, just relax, just relax. He was trying to be so calming and like. Now usually my dad's like very strict. He's a very quiet person, very stern. Who doesn't play around. So when I saw him worried, I was like, oh, this is something I've never really seen him like before. Damn. My dad really loves me, you know? It's one of the examples where, whenever I feel my way towards him, I gotta remind myself, like, yo, he was actually there for me. He actually cared about me, you know? Because for a long time, I didn't like my dad and everything, my parents and whatnot. Still have trouble, I'm not gonna lie. Family, there's always gonna be issues, always gonna be problems and whatnot. Especially if you have a big family, you're bound to come across drama on a daily basis. Verbal, physical, domestic violence. You know, big families, especially in today's economy, could be a struggle. It could be a blessing because you're surrounded by people. You're never lonely, really. You never really deal with loneliness, but at the same time, it's like, fuck, I wish I could be alone. Shit could get hectic, but I learned a lot about people living in a big family. That's the thing too. You learn about human behavior because if you're like a single child, you only look at towards your parents, right? How to behave, how to act, how people are, how people honest people can be and how much of liars can people can be. And then you get multiple personalities, people with multiple different kinds of hobbies, living under the same roof as them. You learn a lot about human beings and how they behave and how they feel, how they react to things. Some people, who don't grow up with many siblings, I've noticed like people with who are single children, I notice they tend to be really, I don't know how to explain it. Let me think real quick. From what I've noticed, I've only known like one person who's been a single child, really. Even people with like a few siblings, like one or two other siblings, they don't really understand, like, they never really learn, like, respect, I want to say. Because they don't have, like, older siblings, right? That, like, pretty much bullying them or, like, teach them about, like, not how to talk to people in a respectful manner. Like, I had one friend who was, like, a single child. And he was very, like, selfish. Not necessarily, but he was just, like, kind of oblivious to other people, how to deal with other people, if that makes sense. Like, he was very rude. He was very, what's it called? He didn't really understand the concept of sharing or like other people and their feelings and how they make other people feel. They never really understand that. I could be wrong, but I've noticed that about people with little to no siblings. I don't know. I've always avoided getting into fights as a kid. My whole life, pretty much, avoided like confrontations. Just because I always dealt with that at home, I was like, I have enough of that shit at home. Like, I know how to deal with it in the outside world. Like, I know how to avoid it. I know how to not entertain it. So that's what I feel like comes from being in a big family. Of course, I'm still human, right? But I've never really snapped on people outside of this house, outside of my bloodline. Never really snapped on people or got mad at people or never really hurt, like got physical with people. I've never done that outside of my bloodline, my home. Yeah, attitude's like common. I can have attitude with people. But as far as like being like very confrontational, I feel like it's having a big family has always helped me to avoid that in the world outside.
It's fascinating visual.
Let's get back to this because stay positive, y'all. Your environment, whether it's you creating the negativity in the environment or just the environment you live in is negative or positive, it affects. Energies are everywhere. Hell, we got artificial things producing vibrations and energy now. All this technology, I'm sure it affects the natural energy and vibrations of natural living things like ourselves, the plants, the animals. All this technology interfering with the frequencies of natural vibrations. This is probably where we get all these mental diseases from. I wonder if it affects bacteria. Because we get to water, that's like a microscopic. It's on atomic level. It's like affecting the energy at an atomic level. I wouldn't say cellular because water's not organic. I mean, there is organic things living in water. You get like healthy bacteria, you get bad bacteria. Like certain bacteria thrive off of dirt, uncleanliness. They thrive off of moisture, heat. Those are a lot of the bad bacteria, right?
evidence.
So many factors in this world that we live in that just affect our health, our mental state. We never really think about it. We never really think too much about it. But a lot of stuff has an effect on us. We don't even realize. Long term effects, short term effects. A lot of this technology is new. We're only like, what, 20 years, 30 years into like smartphones? We're not really seeing the effects yet. We gotta wait probably another 50 years. Probably like 100 years, I feel. Like a century, start to see like the genetic effects of, the technology at the time. I'm trying to think like, then you can get into evolution or adaptation. Would adaptation be like counted as evolution? Because we could physically our bodies can physically adapt to whatever environment we're in, right? Whether it's getting darker because you're in the sun a lot to protect you from the sun, or shit like that. Or I think people in cold countries with they have white skin because I think the light, because it snows a lot and shit. It's always dark, so I'm assuming they have lighter skin to absorb more heat. Because sunlight is important for human health, but of course, too much, too little, could be a problem. So our bodies naturally just adapt. Evolution's so weird. Of course, that's a theory. Evolution. It's not necessarily fact. A lot of these things that people say are factual, or forget that they're theories. They're theories. I want to say gravity is still a theory. It could be wrong. There's always going to be arguments between groups of people and whatnot, right? So, like, gravity's a theory. What else? Evolution, considered a theory. Some consider it factual, but current theories. I want to see which ones are still current. Recent achievements in scientific theories include the efforts to unify gravity with quantum physics. I've been hearing a bunch of that. I've heard into that, like quantum physics being a part of gravity or a player in gravity or something. Discoveries in quantum behavior and modeling extreme cosmic events. Quantum physics is a theory, a significant area of research for the theory of everything that quantum mechanics. So features typical of string theory. Scientific laws and theories. Proven theories. Let's see that. Quantum theory. So that is proven. A fundamental theory in physics that describes the physical properties of nature and the scale of atoms and subatomic particles. Wow, they would say theory of evolution. A well established scientific theory that explains the diversity of life on Earth through the process of natural selection. I mean, I guess you could say. Nah, it's not proven, bro. Come on. I don't believe that shit. We came from apes, or we came from this and that, descendants of this and that. I believe we've always been like this since day one. I believe a lot of these other species are human hybrids. It gets into ancient religion and mythology. You know, a lot of ancient religions talk about beings from the stars creating human beings or creating animal hybrid. You know, you get mythology, a lot of these mythological creatures, a lot of humanoid creatures in mythology and all that stuff, cryptozoology and all that. So I could see a lot of these other humanoid beings, these other apes that we call our cousins or that science calls our cousins or ancestors. They could be totally separate from us. They could just be experiments. They could just be hybrids from fallen angels, from aliens. The creations, not necessarily alien DNA, but creations of theirs, experiments. I believe that. This whole that we came from them? Nah, nah. We either give ourselves too much credit or we give ourselves too little credit. It's what I've noticed a lot of times. Just when it fits the narrative, right? Anything to disprove religion, God, gods, anything to disprove the past. They always teach us the past is just fairy tale. It's just entertainment. It's just for our entertainment. Look at us now. We're way smarter. We know everything now. Technology. We're stupid. And technology's getting better. We're getting stupider. Not us advancing, it's technology advancing. Well, we're over here not using our bodies, not using our brains, letting technology do everything for us. It's so backwards. It's so crazy. I hate this rabbit hole. It's such a headache trying to piece everything together. Because in life, we're told this and that. We're told this is real, this is not. But you got other groups of people saying that's not real and this is real. Then you got other groups of saying this is real, that is real. And then all these groups having similarities in what they believe in. Like, what the hell? What the hell? Technology's just made it better to hide everything, to make us ignore the truth of reality. They create a reality, a virtual reality, to make us ignore the true reality, the physical earth, the world, the physical people within it. Wild. Game theory, a mathematical framework for convincing social situation among competing players, which has been proven useful in economic and other fields. Game theory, mathematical framework. Let me look that up. That's a weird ass theory. So influence. What? So they're playing us like a game or like a video game. We're like programmed and shit with mathematical number. Game theory is the study of mathematical models of strategic interactions. It has been application in many fields of social science and is used extensively in economics, logic, systems, computer science. Yeah, like software, like coding. Is this the matrix theory? Is this gets into like the matrix? We live in a matrix system. That I kind of don't believe. I don't really believe that. The matrix? Nah, I don't believe. I don't personally believe in the matrix theory. I believe that it could be possible in the future. human beings enslaved through technology, integrated with technology, become batteries for technology. The AI taking over, shit like that, creating a whole reality, distorting our reality. AI could just end up distorting our reality to enslave us, making up bullshit, tricking us into thinking something is here, is real, or whatnot. It's already getting better. I saw a video that was AI of a mushroom that closes and collects water. It drinks the water. That was fake, but it looks so real. There isn't even a mushroom species that can do like that. Shit was weird.
Of how water's molecular structure is transformed by vibrations from thoughts, words, and music. His experiments involved exposing water to various verbal, written, and musical stimuli.
So written can affect written? So verbal, written, and musical simulation can affect water and snowflake. No, through snowflakes, right? They use snowflakes. But written? And then we get into the word spell, spells, casting spells. I mean, a lot of times you get the runes, right? You get the insignias. A lot of magicians, man, witchcraft, they use words, insignias. You get the. I was looking into Solomon, the powers of Solomon or whatever that was called, the keys of Solomon or whatever, where he gets into like to written stuff. The spells are written. Spells are. You get to pentagrams, but to have like a frequency to give off an energy, I kind of don't see that. Maybe because you're writing, right? You're creating friction when you write. That energy being transferred to the paper you're writing on. I heard somewhere that that sound can be contained in walls. That one saying the walls are listening or something. It's kind of true. Like they listen, the vibrations, they pretty much get embedded in the wood or whatever material the walls are made with. Usually wood. I feel like wood. And it just goes back to plants being affected by vibrations, voices, negativity, positivity. Since houses are made of like wood a lot of times, all that vibration and sound gets entrapped in the wood. I want to say they could like I forgot what video I saw, but it was very interesting.
Then freezing it and examining the aesthetic properties of the resulting ice crystals under a microscope. The results were startling and visually compelling. Water exposed to positive affirmations, harmonious music, and loving words froze into beautiful, intricate crystal formations.
They look like
Conversely, water
that looks like a flower. Am I tripping? Snowflakes look like flowers. They look like they have leaves. Now it makes me think about plants and how they communicate. Do plants don't really give off heat? Because we put a plant under infrared, they're not gonna put out much heat. So I assume they don't put out much energy, right? Much energy. They don't produce. But from what it seems like to me, it could be a different kind of energy, or like I don't know. That's a trip. I'm trying to connect the dots here. Like, do the leaves of trees? I know they collect carbon and all that stuff, right? They inhale. They're the lungs of the plant, pretty much. The leaves. They act like lungs. They breathe for the plant. When we breathe through our mouth. We also talk through our mouths. It's how we communicate through our mouths, right? That's how we breathe as well. We look at plants now. So they breathe through their leaves. Could they like communicate through their leaves? Do they make sound at like a such quiet small frequency and vibration? Could the wind blowing on the leaves be distorted by the leaves? Certain leaves being structured in the way that make the wind sound a certain way so that it travels and the other leaves get. I'm starting to think, could they be like the antennas? Because I think they look like nervous system. When you look at the leaf, they look like nerves, the roots, right? They look like just nerves, the human body, veins. They look like veins, nerves. I don't know. That shit's so interesting. Do they breathe? So they breathe through the leaves, but do they speak through their leaves? Do they communicate through their leaves or through root systems? I could see them connecting their roots together, and then from there being able to communicate and whatnot. I like to think they also communicate like on a cellular level. They're so advanced on a cellular level, like that's why plants can repair themselves, heal, and grow. We could too, but they can grow. Nah, they can't actually. They're kind of similar to. Let me think. Nah, plants do have a strange like healing process, far better than us. Like you cut a branch off, that branch can grow back, or just grow a new branch. Hmm. Nah, because then trees can get scars and cuts, similar to we do. I see a lot of similarities in trees and human beings. For one, trees, their bark, their outside, every tree's different, right? Just like our skin, the way it's our fingerprint, right? Our skin, it's not going to be the same. Structurally, it's not going to be the same like everyone else's. Same color, same everything, right? We look at trees and their tops, right? Their head, the leaves, right? Their brain, where they breathe, where they think from. That's what I like to think. Because when you climb a tree and you go into the leaves, it's much cooler. You can feel the air, the fresh air coming out of it. So trees, that's their head, their hair. We have hair. Supposedly our hair acts like antennas as well. That's why a lot of religions, like the Rastafarians and everything, I want to say they believe like some their hair is like contains all their energy. It's antennas pretty much. The dreads. That's where you get dreads from, because they believe like it holds like energy, antenna pretty much. And we get our feet, our toes being like roots, connect us to the earth. There are instances of trees moving, which is creepy and not really known why some trees do that. There's videos too of trees just moving. That shit's weird as fuck. I think the ginger plant, ginseng, I think the ginseng plant, they're known to like run away when you try digging them up. That shit's weird as fuck. Hunting, see, you're hunting them because they run. So they're fully aware. These are aware.
Does ginseng really escape to avoid being picked? In fact, it is sometimes said that it can escape, but this comes mainly from ancient Chinese legends and folklore.
Is
According
that
to these
real?
myths, it is believed that ginseng, especially those that have grown for hundreds or even thousands of years, can develop a kind of life force. Does ginseng really
They're still organisms. They're just cellular organisms. People act like plants aren't fucking organisms. They have to be aware. Every living thing has to be aware of its surroundings to survive to a certain extent. And I heard recently that plants supposedly feel pain. That they supposedly like scream in pain or something when you cut them. I don't know how true that is. We're looking into it. Feel pain. I mean, there's certain plants that react to us when we touch it or try touching them. When we get near them, they close up. They're carnivorous plants. The fly trap. I remember I used to have one. Very weird. Like they have stomach acid pretty much to digest. That shit's a trip. Do plants feel pain? This guy's really cool. I like him a lot.
I showed this comment to my professor, now he's dead. Despite what you believe,
What the
plants don't
fuck?
have sensory neurons. They also don't have a central nervous system to process the subjective feeling of pain. If I were to pick a mango from this tree, golly, that smells amazing. It experiences stress, and that stress triggers the plant to produce hormones and chemicals to adjust to the damage. But just like every other creature, plants have evolved to being harvested. That's absolutely insane. I showed this comment to my professor, now he's dead. Despite what you believe, plants don't have sensory neurons. They also don't have a central nervous system to process the subjective feeling of pain. If I were to pick a mango from this tree, golly, that smells amazing. It experiences stress, and that stress triggers the plant to
So he's saying. So he's saying the plants produce chemicals to trigger stress or to simulate stress. Hmm. But that indicates they're feeling some type of physical uncomfortability. Hmm. That was 10 years ago. Fuck. They have their own kind of nervous system. Um. Everything is energy. Once you learn to vibrate, reality is yours. Everything is energy. Technically true. We look at atoms. We look at atoms just being balls of energy, spinning, vibrating. Atoms, everything being made of atoms and shit. The most addicting plant in the world. Lost your interview. Could this be AI? For all we know, this could be AI. Oh, this is a fictional story. Shout out to the comments. I don't want to hear something real. Bro. We need to chill out. These psychedelic drugs are nothing special. All they do is get you high and trip you out. People think of it too deeply. The real world is much more interesting than psychedelic drugs, let me tell you that. The real world is much more of a trip than psychedelic drugs. From personal experience, they're not. They make you stupid. They drive you. They make you. They make you crazy, bro. They make you tweak. You're literally just tweaking out on psychedelics. They're the OG tweak drugs. They just tweak you out. Don't take it so deeply. And then people are like, well, why do some people have the same trip? Why do some people see the same creatures? Because you're smoking the same drug, dumbass. It's gonna have the same effects. right? Of course, everyone reacts to it differently physically, right? But like at the end of the day, it's gonna trigger something, the same thing in everybody. If it's the same exact drug, it's just ridiculous. They're fun, but they're just don't take that shit seriously. They're weird. I'm not gonna lie. There's some weird ass shit to it. Um, the SOS sign. Um, why am I like? Why is this shit popping up now? Bunch of weed when I looked up plants. I didn't even look up weed. I looked up plants. Now a bunch of fucking bud is popping up. Now to speak to the universe. Meaning the mind of God. Music theory is witchcraft. I mean, Lucifer is supposed to be like the angel of music, art. 500 times. Oh yeah, plants. Plants are like some of the natural living things in the world that can clone themselves. Or with the human aid, of course, but you get what I mean, make clones. Pretty trippy. But not just that, you could cut the branch off of a plant, plant it, and that branch grows into its own plant. That is very trippy. That's highly advanced. Living organism. I'm sure people study this for thousands of years, bro. Plants. Probably doing studies on it right now. Raised by wolves, explain. Changed everything about plants. Slicer, that's an hour though. I gotta leave soon too. The mystery behind the cult of Saturn. I already looked into that. Is that Galactus? What the fuck? Carl Junks. She does America. We are powerful, it's so scary. Taylor Swift. Vandal artistry. Elon Musk iceberg explained. China soon. Turned out to be true. Late stage capitalism. Is he forgetting about the communism in the game? Of the Russians and Chinese? Stupid ass, I swear. People are fuck all governments. First of all, fuck capitalism, fuck democracy, fuck communism, fuck all that shit. I already have a religion, I'm chilling, bro. Shit's become a religion. Politics? Not become. It's always been a religion. It's just now in our faces, like how open they are to worshiping government, to worshiping these kind of governments, democracy, capitalism, communism, socialism. Those became the religions that ruled the world. If anything, they're inspired. They're just old religions revamped for the modern audience. For one, because of technology improving, science improving, right? Technology improving. It's all a new religion. We got flags. Flags, a religion's insignia. They just switched it over to flags. Every religion has its symbol. Get the cross, yin and yang, the Star of David, right? We get into all religions. Now it's just, we call them flags. Signs, flags. We fly flags. Every government is a religion. People worship politicians. They worship bills, laws, regulations. They worship. It's just, what the fuck? They love it when the government tells them how to live, what they're allowed to say and think. That's some religious type shit. You kidding me? Choosing what are the morals, what are the laws for society. Choosing who you should look up to, who's a good or bad person, who you should vote for, aka who you should worship, idolize, right? Who represents you, who represents us as a species, as a country, as a people. The words change, but humanity never changes. Definitions, words, language, that changes, but humanity has never changed. Hmm. We are the people. Shouts out to them. Fucking walking on a dream, for real, for real. Life is but a dream, if what you make it. Life could be dream, life could be dream. The world of hope, bump, the world of bump, bump, could dream. Da 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 la 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 la. What was the other one? I was just singing before this. I wanted to listen to that one too. That's life. No, life could be dream. Life is but a dream. This song is good.
Don't
This
compromise
song is
quality
good.
insurance for savings or your time for this ad. Hit that skip button. Or don't.
Will you take part
Part
in my life, my love? That is my dream. Life is but a dream. It's what you make it. Always try to give.
Don't try it. Oh.
Life has its music, life has its songs of love. Life is but a dream, and I dream of you, stranger.
Hell no, I would not feel comfortable around a monkey or a chimp or a gorillas maybe because they seem chill as fuck. But nah, they're huge as fuck. Never mind. Maybe orangutan 'cause they seem like the most chillest. But I heard they're still. I heard in the wild they're still like they're still wild animals. You know. The youth are the future, guys. Look at all the shit the youth are exposed to. All the fucking disgusting, vile internet stuff. I grew up with Mr. Rogers, Sesame Street. Now, I'll be honest. Then we get into like Nickelodeon, Disney. They were a little sus. They had some weird ass moments where it's like, why are they? It's kind of weird for like a kids show, right? But we just see it as like being funny or like. I notice with kids now it's like butts. Cause we look at shows like I've seen like Teen Titans Go. A lot of cartoons now just like making their asses shake. Like that shit is so weird. And I've had kids like smack my ass before, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, don't ever do that to me again. And this one kid, they just think it's funny. They think it's joking because of what they see on TV. And I'm like, yo, you can't be touching people like this, especially adults. Like, you can't be doing that. Like, what the fuck? I didn't say it like that, but I was like, you can't be touching me. You can't touch people like that. Stop. Don't ever touch people like that. And they're just confused and they're just like, what the hell? And I don't blame them because they see it on TV. That shit weird. And I just miss those old shows. They teach you stuff. Mr. Rogers, that shit was kind of creepy because of the dolls. But it was like it was like weird. It was weird, captivating. Cause I was like, yo, this is kind of creepy. Imagine those were like actual living. That shit was just weird as hell. But that's what made me like about that show. It was so calming too. Mr. Rogers, R.I.P. Rest in peace, Mr. Rogers. This was like actual like teaching kids to be calm, curious, to be curious, calm. Nowadays it's like creating ADHD, all these shows, all these cartoons, fast paced, even social media, it's just fast paced, TikTok fast paced, quick, hectic, chaotic, loud, streaming loud, just chaotic, chaos. A lot of kids watch that. They get influenced from what they watch. They get their humor. They get everything from what they watch on television. Television technically raised a lot of children. Yeah, for me, example, like I love television movies, cartoons, and all that stuff. I grew up with such a fascination with all this because of imagination, just what the human mind can think of and entertain you with whether it's through words, through visuals, through art, through knowledge, history, whatnot. But for somebody to paint such a vivid image in your head, if it sticks with you, if it makes you think of certain shows, just stick with me, like the aesthetics, the vibes. Zoe 101, Drake and Josh, just I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say? I don't know how to explain it. just the time period. It just feels so much like an over exaggeration of the time period. Or like iCarly, they get into like iPhones, pre iPhones. Not pre iPhones, but like exactly that. It was so weird. It's another thing I like television movies because they get into, yeah, it's all fiction, right? It's all just movies, TV. But these writers, these people who create these things, they're influenced by the real world, by real possibilities of imagination and technology, of inventing stuff. I could go back to Dick Tracy. Um, it's a comic. It's like a very old comic. I could look it up. But in that comic, he has the Apple Watch. He has a little phone watch he could talk to people through it. This is why I love this kind of stuff. Comics, like video games, because they get into like pretty cool ideas and thought. Look into the history of Dick Tracy. The movie was really good. I liked it. Al Pacino, heavy cast, heavy hitters. 31. 1931, October 4th, on a Sunday, in Detroit Mirror. It's distributed by Chicago Tribune, New York City, New York. Wrote and drew the strip until 77. The various artists and writers have continued it. Dick Tracy has also been in Hero. When did Batman come out? 1939. I'm pretty sure he was inspired by Dick Tracy as far as having like gadgets, being like a force of law and justice. I fuck with Batman. Batman's probably one of my favorite fictional characters of all time. Like his games, his video games are amazing. Lore deep and rich. His TV shows, movies, amazing. Exception of a few of them. George Clooney, that was kind of wacky, but it was still entertaining. It was still an entertaining movie with George Clooney, Arnold, and who else? You get Jack Nicholson. That's who played Batman? That was not Keanu Reeves. That one other guy who plays Beetlejuice. I forgot his name. He was really good. Batman is just, I love Batman because he's so human, but yet it's so real because it's a possibility. Like someone, his powers, his superpowers, willpower, which is one of my favorite reasons why I like him so much. His willpower, his ability to just push through anything, determination. And a lot of people say, "Oh, he just has gadgets." It's like, nah, he's actually very smart, strategic. Batman does not fuck around. He's smart as he plays into the whole secret identity very well. He's like the best to do it. I like how in the movies he changes his voice, Christopher Nolan, right? Christopher, who's the actor? How am I forgetting this? Christian Bale. It's Christopher Nolan, right? Yeah. Yo, Christopher Nolan's a good ass director. Let's look it up his movies. I need to look into this more because I love a lot of movies, but I always never. It's only a few of them I know for sure. Like, of course, the big ones: Quentin Tarantino. We get Martin Scorsese. I know a lot of their movies. I know a lot about their work and how they film stuff because I'm a big fan of theirs. I actually like a lot of their movies. They're like one of my favorite directors. Between Tarantino and Scorsese, what I love about Scorsese, his movies feel so real. The characters, they act so well. They play like real characters. Because a lot of times dialogue in movies, it's dialogue you're focusing on. You're not focusing on the character, what they're doing while they're talking, how they're moving their hands, their bodies. It doesn't look real a lot of times. They're just looking at each other, just focused on dialogue. I love it, Martin Scorsese, because of his close-ups, just the close-ups of like everyday actions that we do, like opening the door handle, a close-up of just human behavior, like natural human behavior, is what I love about his movies. Like they just flow so well and so naturally. Same thing with Tarantino. Like his characters are so real; they're just so alive. How they move, how they do shit. In Glorious Bastards, we look at the one German actor. He was really damn. That movie was really fucking good. Brad Pitt, when he's smoking the pipe, or when they're eating the little cake and everything. It's like that shit real as fuck. I love when movies make you not just pay attention to dialogue, when they make you pay attention to what you're looking at. And what they're saying becomes much more real, much more convincing. I love this. I just love, man, I just love talk. I love movies, man. I love a good movie. Hateful Eight was pretty good. Tarantino kind of went downhill with his recent movies, like the Hollywood one, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or something. That one was boring. I'm not gonna lie. It was. It felt like a typical Hollywood movie. The Hateful Eight, I feel like that was a good one. I like that one. That one was really good. It was Reservoir Dogs in the Wild Wild West. That's all it was. Kind of lazy saying that now, thinking about that. It's kind of lazy now. Lazy. It's getting lazy a lot. Hollywood's super lazy now. It's pretty obvious. Remakes, live action, reboots. It's so lazy. Sequels on trilogies on trilogies. No, you're lying. For the music video, you're lying. Don't tell me that. That was for the music. I gotta end it here. Yeah, they mute it when I play music I'm not supposed to play. Test, test. So yeah, you can hear me and shit. I'm gonna look back at this too. I gotta end it here anyway, so I wanna do more movie reviews. I was gonna do The Thing. Cause I have the original Thing. The DVD. I bought the original DVD of The Thing from the 50s. I was watching some of it. It is good. It is good. It's just I was just not really in the mood that day. What are you talking about? I can hear myself. On You're lying, because I can hear myself on the stream manager. It was low, but I could still hear myself. It was low. Unless you're just trying to get me to type in the chat. Nah, I heard myself well. You're lying to me. Because right before I turned it up, I could hear it. It could just be your end. I'll look back at this. My bad if I'm wrong. It was low. It was a little low. No wonder. Yeah, it was like this low. But I heard myself on Stream Manager like at this level. So either you gotta turn it up. You could hear me? Bruh. You got me tripping out. You're trolling my ass or something? I gotta go look back at this, but my bad for ending it here. I gotta look at this shit now. I gotta go anyway. Silent. Nah, it's cool. Thank you for the feedback. I'm just stressed out because I hate technology. I hate primitive technology. I'm not good at this shit, okay? I'm trying. You know, I got this new shit. You know, I got new shit, you know? I'm still trying. It sounded good on my phone. I have to go back. I'll check it out. My stupid ass turned it down earlier. Because usually it sounds pretty fine. Oh, was it this one? Wait. What the fuck? Alright, I gotta go. Laters.